Hey guys, it's your best boxing friends. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel. Rachel, we're in the midst of a celebration, if you will, of all things Canelo Alvarez. And it's not only because he defeated Daniel Jacobs, unifying three of the four major world title belts. He's also the Ring Magazine champion, the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board champion, the Real Talk with Kelsey and Rachel middleweight champion as well. But also because Canelo Alvarez is the type of fighter who consistently looks for the toughest out for the most part. I mean, even his bout against Rocky Fielding, a top 10 junior super middleweight, that was a stay busy fight. But he's like, a stay busy fight. I'm gonna fight a guy that's a lot bigger than me, that in a division I've never fought in. That's pretty rare in boxing. And I want to talk to you, Rachel, about the four people suggested by his promoter Oscar De La Hoya who he would fight next.
All right, let's hear the four people.
Okay, the first one is Gennady Golovkin, and what would be the third fight. It would become a trilogy then. First was a disputable draw. Second was a Alvarez decision win. And this, who knows? The other fight, the second fight, is a potential bout with Demetrius Andrade, who holds the last remaining alphabet title at middleweight that Alvarez doesn't possess. Andrade's alphabet title was the one that BJ Saunders had, that he beat Andy Lee for. The other two names are 168-pound champion Callum Smith, who a lot of people feel like is the best super middleweight in the world. And the fourth name is, I don't know, light heavyweight title holder Sergey Kovalev. What? Oscar, what? Anyway, Rachel, out of those four names, I want to know who would you, if you could pick one for him to fight next, who would it be and why?
Well, I have a tendency to probably skew towards being practical, and it seems to me that you should fight Andre.
Okay.
And grab that last belt.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel confident that that's a win for Canelo.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just seems easy to grab that last belt, get that done with.
Become undisputed middleweight champion.
Yeah, get that title, especially because the last two names on that list tell me that Canelo and his team are considering him to continue to move up in weight.
Yeah.
So if that's the future, then you're not coming back down like most people. You can, but I don't know. That brings its own problems. We've seen fighters come back down and not be as good anymore and stuff like that. So it seems to me that the trajectory is moving up in weight. So go ahead and do what you can here at middleweight.
Yeah.
And so that's grab that last belt. I'd pick that over Golovkin only because I don't think that there's a huge clamoring
for that fight.
For that third fight. I feel I don't know. I feel like I know who's better. I think Canelo's better fighter. So the only thing that gives me a little bit of intrigue is Triple G changing his trainer, and is that going to change the way he fights? Is it going to be different? So if that third bout can bring you lots of money and stuff like that, then I guess that would be second then. But there's other factors at play. That Andre fight is just an easy pick for me.
Yeah, for me that's the clear next logical choice as well. Fighting Demetrius Andrade for what would be the undisputed middleweight championship. That's something that hasn't been in boxing since Jermaine Taylor defeated Bernard Hopkins a long, long time ago, right? That's an important thing. And frankly, I don't feel that Golovkin has any sort of fan base behind him. Not that he doesn't have a fan base. What I'm saying is there doesn't seem to be that many people that really want to see the third fight right now. That doesn't mean that it doesn't change.
Yeah.
But let Golovkin come back. He's fighting Steve Rolls in a comeback fight. Let him do some work. And let Alvarez continue to do his legacy-building fights. He's already fought Golovkin twice. I think that you would have to build that fight up again. I know it's seems like low-hanging fruit if you're trying to get people to subscribe to the zone. But from a boxing perspective, I'd rather see him fight Andrade for the first time than Golovkin the third time.
I feel like DAZN wants people to want the fight. So they're talking as if
but it's not.
Everybody wants it. But I just don't know that that's an accurate reflection of the market.
Yeah, I think I'd want to see... and then at the same time...
I mean, it's got to be hard because I imagine, you sign Canelo... Then you sign Golovkin.
You want him to fight.
You were this big fight. I just don't know if it's...
It's just that there are diminishing returns on rematches historically if you look at pay-per-view numbers. And the first Golovkin Alvarez fight was a good example of a fight. Here's what its number it did its first time. The second time's a little less. The third time I think would be a little less. So it's not like it's the biggest fight in boxing as it was the first time it happened.
Right, yeah.
The other two names on the list that Oscar De La Hoya suggested intrigue me, and it's because it's not the first time I've heard Alvarez's camp talk about fighting Callum Smith, which I think makes sense. But what doesn't make sense to me is you want to fight Sergey Kovalev?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I get that Alvarez is. I could see that maybe in the future, but right now I'm like, why would you risk moving Alvarez? I mean, Alvarez. We saw him against Daniel Jacobs, who's pretty big by middleweight standards, but isn't a big puncher, isn't a light heavyweight puncher the way Sergey Kovalev is. Sergey Kovalev's a killer, and he's not. I know he's a little older, but he's a really good boxer, right? It's not like he's just a guy who, if he happens to punch you, knocks you out. He's a guy who can set that up. He's a guy who can win rounds, and he's a devastatingly hard puncher with all sorts of different kinds of punches. So I'm like, wow, that's impressive to me that you, both Canelo Alvarez and Oscar De La Hoya, as your promoter, will be like, yeah, you might want to fight Sergey Kovalev. It's a fight that intrigues me, of course.
I don't know if it's impressive or dumb.
Yeah, well, but historically, Canelo has done this, right? Nobody wanted him to fight Ruslan Lara. There are a lot of people that didn't want him to fight Daniel Jacobs because the risk seemed to outweigh the reward headed into the fight.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about Canelo Alvarez's future. He's only 28 years old, Rachel. All the things that he's accomplished, if you look at his resume, I'm seeing him now, after beating Jacobs, suddenly on the top of various pound-for-pound lists.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that interesting / reactive, right?
Right.
We don't want to get in pound-for-pound again. We talked about that last time. But what I'm saying is that he's definitely reaping the rewards of that. To me, he's boxing's biggest star. He's boxing's single most important figure. And he certainly has treated his career and the choices he's made as if that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I do wonder if there's something. I wonder what it's like to be like Mexican and looking at Canelo versus like me looking at Canelo, which is American who doesn't speak Spanish. Because I guess I have, as much as Canelo does, I have a really hard time connecting with him on a human level.
Yeah.
Because I don't really what does he have a personality? Like I have no idea because
maybe he's just kind of that kind of private person, or maybe it's the language barrier.
Yeah,
right?
like I don't know what I'm missing. Like I feel like I'm missing something because I don't get to see him. Just like so Anthony Joshua, there's not a language barrier, but there was the barrier of him being in a completely other country.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to see him or get introduced to him like we did other fighters.
Right.
And it wasn't until whatever fight that was where he was sitting ringside and I was like, oh, he's kind of likable. I didn't know that prior to that, and so I feel like a similar thing where when you say Canelo is the superstar bot, like he should be. I don't know if he is. So other people will probably tell me oh, you have no idea, and I'm not discounting Mexico. Mexico is a huge country, and not to mention the entire Mexican American population we have in the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for me personally, there's a disconnect there where I don't feel like I really know what kind of a person Canelo is.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe it might be that they don't care, right? Because this guy fights the best, beats the best, and is so awesome in the ring that he can lack that, for lack of a better term, personal pizzazz.
Yeah, and that would be good news for Terrence Crawford.
Right.
Who, in my mind, Canelo and Crawford kind of seem similar personality-wise to me, where I just, there's, nothing there. But then you moved Earl Spence, and he's likable and nice, and he seems like he has a good heart, and he's kind, that kind of stuff. You have Manny Pacquiao's kind of, to me, has this really lovable personality. So I don't know, I'm just trying to think. I got nothing for Canelo, nothing.
Yeah.
But I do like him as a boxer.
Well, I was thinking about just people in the boxing community that have lovable personalities. I can't think of anyone more lovable than Rachel and Kelsey from Real Talk with Rachel and Kelsey. That's right. Sometimes we say it the other way around just because it sounds awesome. You know what else is awesome? When you like, comment, and subscribe. And also, my segues are awesome. What? That didn't segue, honestly. Seriously, though, like, comment, and subscribe, please. We will be your best friends. We already are your best friends, so you kind of owe us. What?